Hi, welcome to video number 7 in our 9-part series, designed to help you prepare for the Salesforce PSS AP exam. In this video, we'll be diving into the next key focus area, PSS data models and applications for employee experience management. This is an area that plays a critical role in supporting employees and improving organizational efficiency. Employee experience management isn't just about streamlining HR and IT processes. It provides a comprehensive solution for managing employee needs from onboarding to training and beyond. You'll learn how the solution centralizes essential functions like employee service requests, digitalized personal forms, and training management, all in one uniform workspace. This creates a more engaging experience for employees, helping them access the resources they need quickly and boosting productivity. By understanding the data models and use cases that power employee experience management, you'll gain insights into how this solution drives positive employee experience in public sector organizations. And additionally, I'll walk you through some potential exam questions and highlight the key parts you need to focus on during your exam preparation. Let's get into it. Alright, so today we'll go over Partner Learning Camp notes first. This will be followed by a couple of Trailhead modules for hands-on exercises, and we'll spend a bit of time on the official Salesforce documentation, and I'll highlight the bits that are important for the Salesforce Public Sector Solutions Accredited Professional Exam. And we'll deep dive into the data model for employee experience management to get you familiar with the data models that's required to implement employee experience. So what exactly is employee experience for public sector? It's a digital hub for the hybrid workplace. It streamlines HR and IT processes from onboarding to employee training, and it provides a lot of functionalities. For example, it has the ability to digitalize common intake processes and forms. It can automate workflows and approval processes, document generation for increased productivity, and it can streamline internal processes such as recruiting, onboarding, talent management, and complaints and reporting. It can create goal-centric support plans for employees, administer benefits and services such as training, coaching, and education reimbursements. It can manage internal training credentials, track relocation for employees, retirements, position changes, and much more. We'll go over some of these in detail in later part of the video. So how do you actually access employee experience management for public sector solutions? You'll need to install managed packages because at this stage, employee experience is not part of Salesforce core. Instead, it's in managed packages. It includes 4 main tools and features. These are super important if you are preparing for the Salesforce PSS AP exam, so make sure to take a note about what we're about to cover. The first tool is Employee Workspace. It's a centralized digital hub for employees to access tools and resources. The second tool is Employee Concierge. It's a support app for the employees in the Employee Workspace. And you have the Employee Concierge bot. So it's an Einstein bot that you can use to search concierge articles and tickets in the workspace chat. And you have the HR Service Center, which are tools for HR specialists to manage cases and automate employee-facing HR processes with out-of-the-box workflows. The other important thing to note for the PSS AP exam is that to actually install these tools and features, you actually need user permission sets. So for example, to install Employee Workspace, Employee Concierge, and Employee Concierge bot, you need either the Workplace Command Center or Employee Experience User Permission Set. And to install the HR Service Center, you'll need the Workplace Command Center or Employee Experience Plus to be able to install it. And to install these products or packages, we'll need to go to work.com. So these are important for the exam, so make sure you take a note for this. For those that are preparing for the exam, the content item that we will be covering today is given a set of business requirements related to managing employee experience management, identify the appropriate public sector solution packages that can be configured and deployed to meet those requirements effectively. So the key points here are the data model, licensing and permission set, and the out-of-the-box functionalities, which we'll cover in detail in later part of the video. Let's now cover the next section, which is quite important for the PSS AP exam as well, which is permission set and licenses. There are three groups of users we need to think about over here. So we have system admin access, employee access, and service team access. When it comes to service admin access, these are the users who will be configuring the setup for employee field access. And to be able to configure employee experience, you need permission sets such as employee workplace admin. And this permission set would include the employee experience permission set license. The employee workspace admin will be added to your org when you install employee productivity and service packages. So what this is saying over here is that you'll see, if you go, I'll include the link in the description below as well. You'll see when you go to work.com, this is where you'll be installing these packages. And what it's saying is that when you install employee productivity and service packages, you'll be getting this employee workspace admin permission set added to your org. Now that we've talked about how to set up admin users access to employee experience, we'll now talk about how to get access for employees. So for employees, we'll need to first install employee workspace, employee concierge bot from work.com. So if we go back to this website here, what we are talking about here is this employee concierge, employee workspace, and employee concierge bot packages. So I encourage you to go on this website and have a read into each of these to understand what the packages are about and what's included in there. Once it's installed, what you need to do next is you'll need to assign these three permission sets to employees so they can access these apps that are from the three packages that we've just installed. So these are employee experience for public sector, employee productivity plus access, employee productivity plus user data access. And depending on capabilities that the employees need, we'll need to assign additional permission sets. So here are five additional permission sets that we can assign to the employees for additional capabilities. So the first one here is assessment for employee community. So these are for supervisors who administer assessments and employees who complete the assessments. We have benefits and care plans for employee community. So these are for supervisors who create care plans, assign benefits and goals to employees, and for employees who to view their care plans, benefits, and goals. We also have case management for employee community. These are for employees and supervisors who create and manage cases, applications, complaints, and referrals. and need access to provider, person, and household information, life events, timelines, and relationship graphs. We have case proceedings for employee community. So these are for employees and supervisors who are participants in case investigations and need access to case proceedings. Last but not least, we have evidence management for employee community. So these are for employees and supervisors who track evidence for complaint and case investigations, and case participants who need access to the evidence in a case. Now we've covered both access for system admin and employee. Let's talk about service team access. So why do you need to set up service team access to employee experience? So service teams are the ones that support government personnel, the permissions they need to use employee experience for public sector solutions. So the first thing you need to do is you need to install the HR Service Center from work.com. And let's go back to this page over here. What it's talking about over here is this particular package here, which is HR Service Center. Again, I'll encourage you to click onto this and read about what this package is about and what it covers. Once it's installed, you need to assign 3 permission sets to these service team members. First one is Employee Experience Plus for public sector. Second is Employee Service Agent Access. Third one is Employee Service Agent User Data Access. Here are the recommended resources for preparing for Employee Experience Package or implementation. I'll share these in the notes below or description in the comments. In terms of the Partner Learning Camp Technical Learning Journey, we are currently going over the Employee Experience Management section. Alright, let's take a look at Partner Learning Camp notes for Employee Experience Management. We'll be going over the benefits and capabilities, personas, pain points, scenarios, and architecture for employee experience. Alright, so earlier we talked about what employee experience is for public sector. Let's do a quick recap here. So employee experience is a digital hub that streamlines HR and IT processes from onboarding to employee training, and this gives employees a 360-degree view of every processes and touch point. It provides a lot of capabilities. Some of the examples include digitalized personal forms. It can fast-track employee service requests, and it provides resources at employees' fingertips within a scalable, secure, and unified workspace. So in short, employee experience for public sector puts the employees front and center, as it provides a platform that's digital first, it's personalized, and it provides employee-centric experience. It's conversational and intelligent. So we have all experienced the pandemic, which causes the work environment to change. And it can range from fully remote to in-person. So it's very important for organizations to provide a digital and employee-centric workspaces to assist employees at any time and at every touch point of their career. This is quite important, as a lot of the departments are still relying on paper-based process. A lot of the requests are requested via PDF forms. So digitalizing these processes can modernize the employee experience and improve efficiency to help the employee focus on the task that they need to perform as opposed to admin tasks. Now let's look at some benefits and capabilities. So a lot of the public sector organizations have existing systems of records that they need and will continue to use. By using the Salesforce platform as the engagement layer on top of the HR or payroll system of records, it can completely transform the current manual processes into automated and user-friendly experiences. So there are tools like MuleSoft that we can use for integration to connect the existing systems together to provide a single tool for modern engagement. By using integration tools like MuleSoft, we can integrate Salesforce with system of records and third-party data sources and streamline a lot of the processes together, such as procurement, facilities, onboarding, and financial. So onboarding can include things like managing background checks, standard automation, and new employee orientation. Financial can include things like expense reports, budget planning, formulation, execution. Facilities can be view, reserve, and manage services like badging, conference rooms, and parking. And procurement can be connecting to procurement systems for requisition and status reports, for example. So in Salesforce public sector solutions, we have the employee data model that provides organizations with a foundation to quickly build and tailor apps using low-code and no-code tools. So benefits with these data models, they're out of the box. It can quickly transform the employee experience, increasing productivity within a single workspace, streamlining employee service requests, and because these are out of the box and we are leveraging no-code tools or local tools such as Flow and OmniStudio, it can scale and deploy a lot faster. Let's now take a look at these 4 key benefits in detail. We'll take a look at transforming the employee experience first. So in here, we are talking about how digitalizing forms can transform the employee's experience. So we have an example here. We have an employee, Fatima. So she's got a message from her manager asking her to get access to this engagement app because her colleague is going on leave for a few months, so her manager wants to make sure the team has coverage. So in the past, Fatima would have need to spend a lot of time searching through portals and emails to find the right system access request form. And there's no ability to check the status of her request. She will need to print it, fill that out, get it signed by her manager, and hoping that it goes to the right person. These processes are quite difficult now with the hybrid work model where some workers are working from home and often without printers, so it's very difficult to manually gather the signature that's required to get the access. But with employee experience management, Fatima is able to quickly search across the entire employee workspace to find an article outlining the process that's required. She can also open a ticket that makes this request right from the article itself. And she also noticed that the request is pre-populated with relevant information from the article and also suggested data to enter, saving her a lot of time. Her request is automatically routed to the right person or queue immediately, giving the agent all the relevant information they need to get Fatima her access as soon as possible. Fatima also has visibility into the status of this and all of her requests through the employee workspace, so she doesn't have to call around to get a status update. So when her request has been completed, she automatically receives a notification on her phone telling that her access has been granted. So in summary, her experience has been transformed completely. It saved her a lot of time and energy having a system that's very easy to use, that's digital, and it provides updates automatically. With low-code workflow tools like OmniStudio, it allows users to create intake forms where workers can enter their details of their request in an efficient and guided experience with dynamic fields and instructions along the way. And because data is entered digitally, the information can be captured, it's reportable, and it's available for decision making. Let's now move on to the second key benefit, which is increasing productivity. So on the left here, as consumers, everything is very digital, very efficient, and very organized. When we think about our day-to-day interactions we have with our banks, commerce, travel, real estate, customer service, and we contrast that with our experience as an employee, the differences are huge. As employees, we experience inefficient, disconnected, disjointed processes. It's quite common for employees to find it difficult to find a single source of information. There can be multiple communication methods. There's lack of visibility, very inefficient or non-existent self-service capabilities. So these are something that the public sector need to overcome to meet the employees' expectations when they are expecting the employer to provide the employees with fast, intuitive, and intelligent service. And over here, it talks about how employee engagement can directly impact productivity, and having a good digital system in place will help the employees to be engaged, as it's a lot easier for employees to find the information they need. Let's now take a look at the third key benefit, which is streamlining employee service requests. So Salesforce provides a centralized hub that basically connects all these siloed systems together via integration tools that delivers one seamless employee service experience that offers everything the employees need to work together and stay productive. So this allows the employee to ask questions and to go to the self-service hub to have it answered, or help connect them with any department if they have further questions. So with Salesforce providing the engagement layer, everything, all the data will be in Salesforce in one place. So this allows you to have 360-degree view of your employee's profile, and you'll be able to run reports, build dashboards to see all the related requests, case information, and you'll also be able to get a holistic view of all the inquiries, knowledge articles, and the employees will also be able to get the messaging functionality, and you'll be able to see everything related to your employee information all in one view. And these are all the capabilities that you get with employee experience for public sector. Let's now take a look at the fourth key benefit, which is faster scaling and deploying. With employee experience and its standardized data models, they are available out of the box. Organizations can build business processes quickly using out-of-the-box tools such as Flow and OmniStudio. With Salesforce, you can build a website very quickly using Experience Cloud, and this can act as the front-end employee-facing solution. This speeds up the process even further because Experience Cloud allows you to use point-and-click builders to configure your out-of-the-box applications to suit your employees' needs. With Experience Cloud, you can easily segment the employee audience and create managed content on any channel. You can easily convert this employee workspace into a native mobile application with a form and a few clicks, and your app is published to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. In some cases, you might need a lot of customization, and you can build these customizations with JavaScript. And these capabilities of the Salesforce platform allow the business to quickly launch a tailored mobile employee experience. Now that we understand some of the key benefits for employee experience, let's now take a look at how employee experience can help with the entire employee lifecycle. So here are some of the processes in the employee lifecycle. You have attract, recruit, onboarding, actions that managers and employees are typically involved with on a day-to-day basis, help desk, travel requests, and self-service community. With Attract and Recruit, employee experience management can keep the applicants engaged and shortening the hiring timeline by capturing the recruitment leads electronically while in the field. It can engage applicants throughout the lengthy hiring cycle, so the applicants can get automated emails when there's been an update in the hiring lifecycle, and it shortens the time to entry on duty with the coordination of activities and required steps. Employee experience management can automate a lot of aspects of the onboarding journey, which can involve background checks, suitability, onboarding processes in between, all the way to the first day. So it can guide hiring managers through new hire tasks with an onboarding wizard, automate all the tasks for all the teams, coordinating for the new hires first day. You can engage your new hires from the offer stage through their first month with guided tasks and checklists. It can also help with managers and employees with automation that's required for workflow and approval processes, and initialize some of the personal actions as well. It also helps connect the workforce with HR. It supports employees with knowledge articles for commonly asked questions, connect HR employees with case creation and management. It can help manage HR workloads with queues, case assignments. It can help managing travel requests, agreements, plans, expenses associated with travel and telework requests by creating guided interactions for employees to submit requests, manage associated agreements and plans for transparency, and there's also approval workflows that aligns with the business processes. It also provides a self-service community. It gives a centralized tailored experience for the workforce, provides a single place for help no matter what the request is. So it can include things like engage and communicate with employees with a centralized workspace, can tailor user experience based on the target audience for content. It can launch guided actions, cases, and requests from a centralized portal. Moving on to personas and pain points. So it's important to know who will be involved in making decisions when using employee experience solution, and some of the pain points and challenges they are facing, and what the employee experience management can resolve. Let's learn about the use cases and pain points for human resources. For the executive of HR, because there's no unified view of all of the employees, it's very hard to get accurate reporting. For HR managers, The pain point is that there is inconsistent onboarding experience due to many different systems and channels that the employees will need to go through during onboarding. As for the recruiter, because there are so many tasks that the recruiter need to do, things like scheduling interviews, maintaining a pipeline of talent, coordinating pre-employment requirements, all these tasks are in different systems, and it's very hard to keep track, and these systems don't talk to each other. Let's now learn about the IT use cases and their pain points. From the CIO's perspective, because of the many different systems they have, it creates dissatisfied employees. For admins, there are so many repetitive routine processes which result in high IT costs. For architects, because there are so many competing priorities that need a solution to help the architect organize. Developer, there are so many systems to develop, and it's very difficult for the developer to develop quality apps fast. So we've talked about these challenges for ITs and HR. All of this is pointing towards the fact that employees want a quicker digital solution that will improve their job. The public sector is known for having quite disjointed paper-based solutions, but all of these pain points can actually be resolved using employee experience for public sector. Let's now learn about the scenario architecture and how employee experience can resolve these pain points. So the example here is that Eva is a new hire, and today is her first day. And she hasn't had a good public sector onboarding experience previously, as it was paper-based and very inefficient. Lucky for Eva, the company that she works for is using employee experience for public sector, which gives all the new hires a very good onboarding experience. Now let's take a look at her journey. So there are a few key capabilities with employee experience for public sector. There's employee workspace, onboarding, employee profile, employee intake process, servers, and catalog chat. Let's take a look at employee workspace first. So this is an Experience Cloud site. Here it shows all the tasks that it's open for Emma. Here are all the upcoming events and news, and there's tabs where she can access her tickets, service catalog requests, service catalog, and there's a chat window here as well. Here is the onboarding checklist, and these are the 6 tasks that Eva needs to do. And with these checklists, you can include instructions or video links for Eva to view. There's chat windows here as well to allow Eva to get information and ask questions. And here she can find some information on the Experience Cloud community portal as well to learn about all the payroll information. And there's also in the catalog section, there's details about compensations. And in the tickets tab, you can see all the support tickets, their details, and the status here as well. So here's a use case here. So Eva got married and she needs to change her last name. So what does she need to do to get this changed in employee experience for public sector solutions? Before we get into that, let's look at the architecture that enables setting up a name change use case. Let's look at the PSS map first. So we've gone through this in detail in part 2 of the PSS exam series, so I won't go into this in too much detail. Here it highlights employee experience, which is a key component of this PSS map. If you are interested in learning more I'll include the link to part 2 of the video, or click on the playlist and you'll be able to see the video and take a look where I gone through introduction to public sector solutions. So going back to the name change use case here, there are a lot of components here that we can utilize. In this case, we can actually use OmniStudio components to build a form that will allow the first name and last name to be displayed to the user, and build a guided process so that the user can change its last name. Let's now take a look at Eva's personal profile before we talk about the OmniScript that she'll need to launch to be able to change her last name. So this is an OmniStudio form. If you are familiar with OmniStudio, you'll know that OmniStudio provides a guided process to guide the applicant through a business process where they'll get information about what the form is about. They'll have fields pre-populated if the information is available, and they can input their data and you'll create Salesforce records. If you want to learn about OmniStudio, I've got a playlist here as well. I'll include in the description below as well. So after completing this form, provided all the request details, certification, documentation, she'll be able to have her name changed. So one of the most common use case with employee experience is to generate employee training completion certificates using OmniStudio document generation. Let's start with the HR Service Center app. So what this app does is that this app provides a centralized view of employee details. So here we can see Eva's employee profile. And here we can see information about Eva, its relationships, the location, the internal organization unit that Eva works for. In this case, it's engineering. We can see date of birth, employee number, and on here we can see lists of activities, and as well as onboarding tasks and a related list. Let's take a look at the related tab. In here we can see all the cases that Eva has raised. For example, VPN not working on the new computer, needing access to email account. We can also see what training Eva has attended. In this case, Eva is attending how to succeed at your job, and the result is in progress. We can also see the transition plan. In this case, Eva is in the new employee onboarding transition plan. Let's take a look at this training course participant record. So in here we can see the status up here. We can see the employee that's attending this particular course, which is how to succeed at your job. So this training course participant is a junction object between employee and training course. It allows you to have this many-to-many relationship between employee and training course. So one employee can attend multiple training courses. Each training course can have many different employees attending. On here we can see the start date, end date, the result, total hours, total credits, and the training course name. So how do we generate a course completion certificate? To do this, we'll need to first move the status to completed, and once it's completed, a generate certificate button will appear. When this button is clicked, the system now generates a training completion document. So this certification here will include Eva's name and a bunch of other details. The good thing about this is that the entire process is automated, which ensures consistency and efficiency, and allows you to download as a Word document or generate PDF. You can also email the Word document or the PDF, and when you close this screen, this generate document screen, you'll navigate you to Ava's contact record, which in this case it's a person account. And here immediately you can see this document here, which is a certification of completion document that's being attached in the notes and attachment in Ava's person account. So once the certificate has been generated, we want to prevent another certificate for Emma to be generated for the same training course. So here you can set up your OMI script or flexcard or flow to prevent this certificate from being generated again, to prevent duplicate records for certificate of completion. Now that we've seen how OmniStudio document generation works in action, let's quickly go through how to actually implement and configure it. This will just be a quick overview. I'll cover it in much more detail in my OmniStudio playlist in the future, so stay tuned. So what we need to do first to get set up is to go to OmniStudio and go into the document template designer app. Create a new document template. In here, you'll see a bunch of template settings. You have name, template type, token mapping method, mapping data, Raptor bundle name, data extract data, Raptor bundle name, and document generation mechanism. So one of the things that we'll need to do is to upload a file to the document template. So this powerful tool, Document Template Designer, it supports templates created in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint and allows the use of various tokens to dynamically generate content in your documents. So this is what the certificate looks like, and this is actually based on a template that's created in Microsoft Word. So on the template, we can see the completion date, employee's name, employee org, and a bunch of other tokens. If we zoom in a bit more, we can see conditional evaluations here as well. So what happens is that during document generation, these tokens are automatically replaced with real data and creating a fully customized document. I'll include a link in the comments or description below for more details on how to configure these templates and tokens. So some of the things that this document template also supports is it can support variables like these ones here as tokens. It can support repeating content, so it's perfect for things like lists, tables, or repeating sections. It can perform conditional evaluations, show or hide sections based on field values. In this case, if it has a facilitator, then it's going to display this section here. If not, the section will not be displayed. It can support dynamic images and hyperlinks, and also rich text. Now, coming back to the document template designer, in here there are two data mappers that we'll need to create. First one here is the data extract data mapper. The second one here is the mapping data mapper. So data extract data mapper is basically a data mapper extract that will retrieve the needed data across one or more Salesforce objects. Mapping data mapper is a data mapper transform that will take the output of this data mapper extract and use it as input into the data mapper transform, which will then have its own output directly into the document that we are generating, which is this over here. Let's take a look at how we can first build a data mapper extract to extract the data we need from Salesforce. So below is the data mapper extract that we are using to get all the training certificate details that we need from Salesforce. In here, we're getting details from for objects, training course participant, training course employee, and individual. Again, we'll quickly go over this. If you are new to data mappers, I've done quite a few deep dive videos in my OmniStudio playlist, so I'll recommend you to check that out. So what's happening here is we are basically running SQL queries, and we are storing the SQL query results for each object into the extract output path. So what we can see here is that we are trying to fetch a training course participant record based on the context ID that we are providing to this data mapper. And because we have this employee training record and there's a couple of lookup fields on this record, such as training course and employee field, we're able to fetch the training course ID and the employee ID. To get the individual, we'll need to get the employee record, which we fetched from here, and there's a lookup here on individual ID, which we can use to fetch the individual record ID. What we are doing next is to set a formula to set the document name, and in here we are basically concatenating the training course name, which we've stored the training course object record under this node, so we can fetch the name from the record, and this is how it's done in data mappers. And we are concatenating the training course name with certificate of completion. So now that we've located all 4 records that we need, and also the document name that we've set using formulas, we can start working on the fields that we need to populate the document. So document name, this is basically coming from here. So this goes into the extract.json path, and we are using the same output.json path name as the extract.json path. So it's going to basically come out over here. From the employee record that we've fetched, we want to output a few details here, such as the email, account ID, the individual ID, organization ID, and the employee organization name. And we are simplifying the JSON output to be a single level as opposed to keeping this complex JSON structure. For employee, we're getting the name, completion date, and a bunch of other things. So, and again, here we are simplifying the JSON structure to be a single level JSON, which is a lot easier to work with as opposed to a complex JSON setup. Now let's quickly test the data mapper. So we just need to feed a context ID in here, and based upon this, from the context ID, we should be able to find all the other records and its associated fields. And here is what we are getting. We now have facilitator's name, a bunch of IDs, completion date, and all the key details that we need to populate the document. Now that we've set up the first data mapper, let's work on the mapping data mapper transform, which is this one over here, the mapping data mapper. So to recap, this is where we take the output of this data mapper that we just created and use as an input into this transform data mapper, and from there it'll have its own output, which will directly go into the document, which is over here that we are generating. Alright, so this is what this training cert transform data mapper transform looks like. Essentially, we are taking the output JSON of this data mapper extract directly onto here. So if we see employee name, you should expect to see employee name over here. And if we look at completion date, there's an associated completion date over here. Now what this data mapper does not have is this input JSON path here has facilitator, because if we go back to the Word document here, there's conditional visibility that we need to set depending on whether there's facilitator or not. So to achieve this, what we need to do is we need to utilize the formula tab and basically say for facilitator name, which is part of this input JSON path, if it's null, then we set it to false, otherwise true, and we store this result into this formula result path, which has facilitator, and this is what we are seeing here. And for the output JSON path, we need to match with the token format if has facilitator, and this is what we are using on the document template here. So back to this data mapper transform, let's do a quick test here. So for the input, this will basically be coming from this data mapper extract output here. So we feed it as a test input, and the response we get will be these, and these will basically be what will be going to the document template here with these tokens. Once everything is set, we need to activate the template by saving it and activating via the button up here. So what we need to do next is we need to include this document generation process onto the OmniStudio form. So what we need to do here is we need to start by setting up some template and generation options using set values element. So in the set template set values element, we are basically specifying the version, the name of the template, and the template type. And in the generation options here, we setting a bunch of settings such as the attached file format, document generation mechanism, in this case client-side, document viewer, etc. So essentially all the behaviors of the document generation component will need to set using the set values element here. So in this set generation options set values element, there's actually another property that we can set to whether to override any data mapper extracts that we are using, which is tied to the document template. So you'll recall that up here with we are using the training insert get from record extract data mapper, and if you want to override this for some reason, you are able to do it by setting this element to null. And if you set this element to null, you'll need to provide your own data mapper extraction action to extract the records that you want to pass into the template, which uses the data mapper transform to then output the fields that you need onto the document template. So in earlier part of the video, we talked about how we don't want to be generating duplicate documents for the same training session, and this is achieved by having a data mapper extract action to extract the number of certs for this training session. So in this data mapper, what we have here is we are extracting from this object called content document link, and from here we are passing in the contact ID to see who's associated with this particular document. So there's this advanced formula that we are using to run a SQL query, and this allows us to to work out the count of documents. So we are basically outputting this result in our output.json path. And when we test this data mapper, what we'll see is a SQL query here and also the count of documents. In this case, it's 0. We then go back to the OmniScript and set up branching logic to decide what information to be displayed to the user based on whether there is an existing certificate or not. So if there's more than 0, then we want to display to the user that this certificate has already been generated. Otherwise, we'll display this screen that allows the user to be able to generate the document. This is a Lightning Web component, and this is basically the document template that we were looking at earlier, which is all of this that we've set up. So coming back to the Lightning Web component here, we need to feed a bunch of properties such as the document name, contact ID, and select a template. Once this is done, there's the email word button, which is an email action property, and that's the same with the email PDF email action property as well. In here, we can include the email address list. So once the user has closed this section here, we want to navigate the user back to the personal account. So what we need to do next is to think about how we can launch this OmniScript. So we can use a flex card to generate the certificate and place this on the record page. So basically what this flex card will do is you'll launch the OmniScript that we've just been looking at, and from the OmniScript, it kicks off this document generation process. So once the button is all set up, we can embed this button onto the training course participant page. So how it's able to get the training course participant ID is that on here, we'll need to set the SQL query as the data source, which basically takes the record ID of the record that this button is on. And we need to configure the action so that when this button is clicked, there will be a fly out action, which calls the OmniScript with this type, subtype, and language combination, which is how we specify the OmniScript. As part of setting the OmniScript action up, we also need to pass on a few things, such as the context ID, which is the record ID of the training course participant, and also the vlog events. And this is how the messaging framework works. So this is a more advanced concept here. So what this is basically doing is that if we come back to here, we'll need to communicate the OmniScript with the flex card action button. So we will be passing this key value pair on the OmniScript to the flex card that's calling this OmniScript, which is the button. So the OmniScript will basically tell the flex card when this close button is hit and when the fly out window can be closed, which will happen automatically because we are passing in these key value pair to the flex card that's calling this OmniScript. When it comes to Trailhead modules, there are not many that are available specifically for employee experience management. However, I did find this module that goes through the work.com features, which is employee experience. So I strongly recommend you working through this one here. To gain hands-on experience, the best approach is to dive into the help articles, which we'll review shortly. We'll focus on the key areas you need to know for the exam. When it comes to help articles, I'll highlight the important sessions. When it comes to the actual implementation, the help articles and developer guide are excellent resources. And as always, I'll include all the relevant links in the description or comments below for easy access. Let's now take a look at employee experience data model. In here, you can see there are 4 different types. They are highlighted by different colors. We have existing Salesforce objects, we have consent management, survey objects, and work.com objects. So you might be wondering what is work.com and what the difference is between work.com and employee experience management in public sector. So let's start with work.com. So work.com was initially introduced by Salesforce as a platform to manage employee performance and collaboration. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Salesforce pivoted work.com into a crisis management and employee wellness platform. This includes features like contact tracing, wellness surveys, shift scheduling, and emergency response tools to help organizations manage their workforce during crisis. So how does work.com fit into employee experience management? So work.com is actually a key component to the employee experience management in public sector solutions, which also encompasses a broader functionality that doesn't just focus on work.com capabilities like crisis response and wellness checking. It also includes things like the Experience Cloud for employee portals. There's also industry common layer tools like Tableau for insights into the workforce trends. Let's start with the consent management objects. So we have authorization form consent. These objects capture employee consent for storing information such as health information, personal information. So this is to ensure that it's complying with privacy regulations. Let's now take a look at the survey objects. These 2 objects, survey response and survey version, these are used for questionnaires, for example, wellness check health questionnaires, which enables organizations to assess employees' well-being. With the work.com objects, let's take a look at this key object here, which is employee. So this stores detailed employee information such as name, role, status within the organization. And we have the internal organization unit, which represents organizational units employees belong to, helping map employee relationship to specific teams or departments. So each employee can have multiple employee crisis assessment records. So these records track assessments of employees during crisis, such as their readiness to return to work, or results from the wellness surveys. We have crisis, so it basically captures major crisis events like COVID-19 pandemic, which affects employees and the organizations. Let's now take a look at the existing Salesforce objects, starting with the individual object. So this object basically connects the employee data with the authorization form consent information, and it also links the employee record with the user record. The location object here stores information about facilities. It uses the address object to relate to a visitor address to a location. Location is used by work.com to basically represent a physical organization location with extra custom fields added by work.com. The user object stores your first name, last name, Salesforce profile, roles, things like email addresses and username. One important thing to note for the PSS AP exam is that employees who need access to work.com applications, they must have an associated user record to log into Salesforce. So if a user does not exist for the employee, a new user record must be created for them. So together with all of these objects, it helps the organizations manage employee data, wellness, surveys, consents, and crisis response. Let's now go into the public sector solutions documentation. So earlier in the video, we talked about how employee experience management includes 4 tools: employee workspace, employee concierge bot, and HR service center. So these 4 are super important for the PSS exam. We're now doing a deep dive into each of these tools and features. Let's now take a look into employee workspace. So employee workspace basically provides a hub for tools and resources that your employees will need to work from anywhere. And this is what the employee workspace looks like. You can pin your most favorite apps. You can receive company communications. There's helpful resources you can access as well. You can respond to surveys and collaborate with your coworkers. When it comes to the actual implementation, I'll recommend you to go through these 2 sessions. Here it shows you how to configure general settings for employee workspace, and also shows you how to install the employee workspace package, and also a bunch of other important settings that's required to have employee workspace set up and running. Let's now take a look into employee concierge. So you can add employee concierge into the employee workspace. And basically what employee concierge is that it's an employee support app in the employee workspace that has a searchable knowledge base and ticketing system so that employees can find solutions and get support when they need it. So for employees to access employee concierge, they'll need to log into the employee service experience cloud site. If they can't find information from these knowledge articles, what they can do is they can log a support ticket for the same employee workspace site. One thing that's quite important to know is that employee concierge can only be installed in an org that has already installed and configured employee workspace, and you'll need to have person account enabled. So after installing employee concierge, there are additional setup and configurations that are required, and it's actually detailed in all of these sessions. So this is what it looks like for the employee experience portal. When you go into this employee concierge, you'll be able to see all of your tickets, and you can raise new tickets as well. And you'll be able to use the employee portal to search through knowledge articles. So once you have submitted a ticket, a case record will be created in Salesforce, and this is where the internal agents will be reviewing your case and try resolve or communicate with the employee who's raised the case. Again, for actual implementation, I'll recommend you to work through all of these sections. They'll help you to install this employee concierge package and set up permissions, set up the agent text app, and a bunch of other things such as the employee server side and how to create ticket categories, email to case, etc. Now moving on to employee concierge bot. So this is basically an Einstein bot that you can use to search concierge articles and tickets in the workspace chat. And this bot allows you to give your employees concise answers to quick questions. So with this employee concierge bot, employees can find case status and get frequently asked questions answered rapidly. Again, for actual implementation, I'll recommend you to go through all of these sessions. They'll go through a step-by-step guide as to how to install the employee concierge bot on managed package, how to deploy it, and all of these functions that's required to set up employee concierge bot up and running. Last but not least, HR Service Center. This provides tools for HRs to manage cases and automate employee-facing HR processes with out-of-the-box workflows. So the HR Service Center, it contains two areas of functionality. First, it extends the concierge IT ticketing system to also include the HR ticketing for creating cases. It contains a framework that allows HR to create onboarding tasks and assign them to employees. So the main benefits are that HR Service Center can streamline employee HR service requests by allowing HR agents to manage tickets with workflows. And this allows employees to search for answers about HR policies and benefits using a built-in for HR console. It also provides an integrated onboarding experience. HR agents can assign and track onboarding activities for new hires. So things like reviewing documents, watching onboarding videos, or requesting a corporate credit card. So all of this can be done with flows that can be created and customized to fit with business needs. And again, for actual implementation, I'll encourage you to go through these sessions where it covers how to actually install HR Service Center in your org, things like assigning permissions and all the configurations that it's required to get HR Service Center up and running. And that wraps up part 7 in our PSS series. In the next video, we'll dive into PSS data models and applications for emergency management, where I'll cover the data models and its use cases. You'll learn how to use emergency management to help public sector organizations to quickly prioritize and mobilize emergency services to bring communities back to well-being. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps more people discover free Salesforce study resources and motivates me to create more valuable content for our community. See you next time.